Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I must admit, I've settled into this smart speaker life quite quickly. At the moment, I get out of bed, jump in the shower, my wife makes me a drink, and I hit my office and try to get down my emails quickly before my friends in the US wake up and bombard my inbox with podcast guests and work requests and so much more. So while I come around, I've started asking Alexa, start my day. And straight away I get the weather, live video news, tech news, sports news, and finish with an inspiring, thoughtful message because, man, starting the day with news stories can bring you down quite quickly, and that's no way to start the day, is it? But it's got me thinking, how do you start your day? Is this podcast the start to your day, or is that something that you have late at night or on the way home? I want you to share your routine and at what point you tune into this podcast, and indeed anything else that you might dare to share with your friendly podcast host. If my voice is going to be beamed into your ears every day, maybe it's time I got to know you all a little bit better. Now, on this Daily Tech podcast, I'm fascinated by how our world is constantly evolving and being transformed by technology. For example, have you heard of RR Donnelley, RRD? If you've heard of them, which, let's be honest, there's a good chance you haven't, you probably know them as the company that prints the phone books. Now, at RRD, they understand that the world is quickly evolving, which is why they've evolved their business from phonebook-printer to full-blown marketing solutions company that helps much of the Fortune 500 companies out there create, manage, deliver, and optimize their multi-channel marketing. In fact, RRD was recently ranked at number 8 in the US Ad Age agency report. It's an inspiring transformational story and a great lesson in how to leverage technology and evolve as a business rather than just carrying on regardless with the same old way of doing things. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Chicago so we can speak with Doug Ryan at RRD Marketing Solutions. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Doug. Can you tell the listeners a little more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, nice to join you, Neil. I am Doug Ryan, and I oversee RR Donnelley's Marketing Solutions Group. We help clients better connect with their customers across multiple marketing channels. That includes direct marketing, retail marketing, and digital marketing. And in 2018, we did a little over $1 billion in revenue with our clients across those areas.
Wow, just a little over $1 billion. What really inspires me about your story is because we do have listeners listening in 165 different countries. And for listeners that have not heard of RRD, many will know you as the company that prints the phone books. So can you tell me more about the moment that you realised that the world is quickly evolving and why you had to change as a business too?
Yeah, that's funny that you bring up the phone books. That's what my mom knows it for too when I told her I was working for RR Donnelley. So that speaks to the double-edged sword of being a company with a long and rich history. And on one hand, people generally know and have good feelings for the RRD brand, but they're a bit fuzzy on all the things we do today.
Yeah.
So to your question, I'd say the moment happened probably well over a decade ago as we saw shifts in how our clients' businesses were taking shape, and more importantly, shifts in where their problem points were. They were being challenged to reshape their customer experience, and we saw we had a part to play in that. And the marketing trends I expect your audience is well familiar with have also played into a series of probably smaller moments since then that have led to the transformation of the company.
Can you also tell me about how you evolved the business from that phone book printer to the full-blown marketing solutions company and the huge success that it is today? I mean, I know it's a 10-year journey, but it's still a huge pivot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a huge pivot. But I'd say it's probably characteristic of most successful pivots in that it's based on a core competency that it gets applied to a new area. So as a long ago large printer of catalogs, financial reports, direct mail, and other things, historically, RRD had to be good at several things. We had to be good at handling large and potentially sensitive data sets. We had to be good at executing large-scale personalization. We had to consistently find ways to execute programs more efficiently. So those general competencies were a natural platform to do more in the marketing services arena.
And it certainly seems to have paid off. Because am I right in saying that RRD was recently ranked at number 8 in the US Ad Age agency report? And if that is true, did it feel like a gamble at the time? And how does it feel to have saved your business in that way?
Yeah, that's right. We did make our debut on the Ad Age Agency Report at number 8 in the U.S., and we're also proud to say we're number 18 globally. It was the first time that we were listed, and that's a testament to our having arrived, in a way, among the leaders in the marketing service provider world. That said, it really represents, I think, in our view, the start of the challenge rather than the end. So, as you know more than most, the rate of innovation in this industry is both rapid and nonlinear. That makes it hard to say what's coming next, and everyone feels like they're constantly catching up. And while there's been a continual advance in MarTech and AdTech, I think there's a general feeling that no one has really solved the fundamental problem for marketers, which is, how do I create a high-quality, high-performance customer experience across multiple marketing channels? Even for all the advances that we've made, there are still too many silos. Companies still struggle to have a unified view of the customers across all their systems. It's still very hard to measure the cumulative effect of marketing, and there are very real issues, of course, around fraud and privacy and all that stuff. So it's a really hard problem to solve, and there are no shortage of companies trying to solve it like us. So we view the Ad Age ranking as really the starting gun more than the finish line, but we think it definitely puts us in a good place.
And you've got a fantastic background and an inspirational journey, and which is amazing. But I don't want to dwell too much on the past, because here in 2019, you're achieving fantastic success too. So can you tell me more about how much of the Fortune 500 you currently create, manage, deliver, and optimize their multi-channel marketing efforts? Because I think that is fantastic, and I think it'll really help people listening visualize just what you're doing now.
Yeah, it sort of speaks to, I think, the progress that we've made. So for RR&D overall, so that's both our marketing solutions side, which I oversee, and then we have this other group called Business Services. But combined, we have clients in over 90% of the Fortune 500. We're a little below that for the marketing solutions side, but we have connections and permission to talk to all of them. And then in terms of, how much are we doing with them individually with multi-channel marketing, it really runs the gamut. And that's really because I think the different places that all our clients are in. So from their perspective, I think all our clients would say they are doing multi-channel marketing to some extent. But in truth, when you add optimization into that equation, I'd say, in truth, probably less than 20% are making a concerted effort to truly optimize across channels. To be clear, almost everyone we work with is working hard to optimize within channels. But in terms of looking to see how the combination works, how the intersections between the channels are working across both digital and broadcast, across paid, earned, and owned, it's a much smaller percentage. So for us, those initial connections are important, but then we see this huge opportunity in being able to take it a step further and help them with that more integrated view.
So what is it about your deep industry knowledge and broad range of capabilities, do you think, that makes you unique to help your clients better connect with their customers from marketing programs and that generate new customers for critical business operations? What is it that makes you stand out, do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially because we are in a very competitive area. And I'd say, the angle that we're taking is really based on our core again. And I'd say, in fairness, I'd characterize RRD as a bottom-up activation company. So what does that mean? Well, we touched on history of the company a bit, but I think you'd say that history is being the company you went to when it was time to make things happen. And I contrast that with a top-down company that starts with a broad strategy that has to go through a few layers of interpretation before it gets down to, so what are we really going to do? So I wouldn't say strategy is unimportant. It's critically important. And I wouldn't underestimate the importance of the right strategy one iota. It's absolutely critical. But I don't think that's the main problem our marketers are facing right now. For the most part, they know how to get to a viable marketing strategy. That's not a problem for them. I think their main problem today is how do we put that strategy into action? And I think that's where we uniquely kind of bring value, because we do have that bottom-up orientation about really how we make it happen in the marketplace.
And we've talked about your history and the problems that need solving out there. But if we were to just zoom out for a moment, what does a successful marketing program look like here in 2019?
Oh, another good question. I'd probably say, I guess three things would characterize what I'd call a successful marketing program in 2019. One, I'd say it's based on how your consumer wants to buy, not on how you want to sell. So that means you have to approach them the way they want to be approached in regards to both the channel and the content. So that's number one. I think number two is the program is smart enough to know who you're connecting with. It recognizes who it's talking to, not in a hi Neil kind of way and sort of that token personalization, but in a way that really shows you made an effort to understand them. You've done your homework. If they have a relationship with them, you acknowledge that relationship. If you don't, you have some relevant reason for starting a dialogue with them. So that's number two. And I'd say three is just a practical reality. It's got to be efficient for both sides. If there's a lot of wasted effort on either side, the program's not going to succeed. If it's too hard for the customers, obviously you're not going to be successful. But if it's too hard for the company, you're not going to be able to justify the expense. So I'd say it's probably some version of those three things, based on how the customer wants to buy, smart enough to know who it's connecting with, and efficient on both sides. Or at least that's the three elements we're shooting for.
Well, don't get me started on the generic emails from a do not reply email address that start hi Neil, but hi Neil is in a completely different font to the rest of the email. Things like that drive me insane. Although you don't want to be known as just the phone book printing guys, for me what really stands out is RRD is a company that was famous for printing phone books and have the foresight to see what was coming to your traditional business model and ensure that your business would thrive again in a digital world. So what advice would you pass down to a business leader here in 2019 that could actually see similar problems on the horizon that's a huge threat for their business? And what kind of steps should they take?
Wow. I feel we're on the early stage of our journey, so I'd hesitate to claim any particular wisdom on the point, but in our own effort, I have studied companies that have been through that journey, that sort of reinvention process, and service companies in particular. And I'd say sort of based on that, I'd offer this observation, and that's that there are very few truly new ideas in the world. And those original ideas that do work are easily copied, especially, again, in the service industry. So I'd say success ultimately depends, less on the uniqueness of your vision, but more on your unique ability to execute on it. So it's really looking back. So what are your core strengths? What are your core competencies? And how can you apply those? To give an example for us, I'd say, our approach to tech has probably evolved over the years in terms of we have a very, competent tech group. And our response to everything was, we could build it better. And to some extent, that's true. But I think we had to learn where our strength really was. And our strength was not so much in sort of building the core systems our clients rely on, but it was on integrating them. And that was really the core strength of us, was bringing that together. So I think it's recognitions like that, knowing what your core strength is, really recognizing that, and not trying to reinvent that, but just reinvent the way that you apply that core competency to new areas.
And like you said, you are early on in your journey too, and there is a long road ahead, and you're going to be navigating those uncharted digital waters along with all businesses. But what's next for RRD, and is there anything else about the future that you can share with us today?
Yeah, I'd say it probably involves taking our own advice. So if we look at what we're good at, where our core competencies are, what are the natural adjacencies that we can get into that will build on those inherent capabilities? So I think in general, as you look at what we're doing, whether it be growth through partnerships or through organic build-outs or through acquisitions, you'll see us work to expand the types of channels that we can bring to clients so we can connect even more things together. And I think especially for us in the digital channels, as those continue to advance and go to new areas, that we have to match that and go into those new digital channels as well. With the potential, obviously, to integrate and optimize that for the clients, along with the current digital things we're doing for them, as well as the more traditional channels like direct and in-store. So bringing all those things together, but doing more of them would be the natural path for us.
And for anyone listening that'd love to delve a little bit deeper and find out more information on the kind of work that you're doing, the kind of problems that you're solving for your customers, could you just point them in the direction of your website, how they can find you online, and equally maybe contact a member of your team if they do have any questions?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from folks. So our website is rrd.com, And you can also find us at RR Donnelley on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And we're happy to meet and greet anybody in any channel they prefer.
Fantastic. Well, I love everything that you've achieved here, and you've not only evolved and adapted to digital surroundings and changed your business model, but I think the most important thing is it's not just a one-time deal. In any business now, it's all about continuous improvement and continuously learning. And like you said there, taking your own advice as you continue to move forward. But it's a fantastic story, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to share that with me today. So thanks for joining me, Doug.
Thanks so much. Appreciate joining you, Neil.
What a great story. I love how RRD is using its deep industry knowledge and broad range of capabilities to help its clients better connect with their customers. Everything from marketing programs that generate new customers to critical business operations. So I cannot thank Doug enough for not only discussing RRD's evolution to a top marketing agency, but also what a successful marketing program actually looks like here in 2019. But any big takeaways from everybody listening at home or on the commute to work or walking their dog? And yes, that means you on the 7:13 train. Why not send me an email, say hello, ask a question, or share your thoughts from your commute, gym session, or wherever it is that you listen. So you can go to my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. You'll find links about today's guests, all the recent podcasts, or you can email me directly, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Or you can DM me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or all the usual places. Just look for Neil C. Hughes. But I've taken up far too much time of yours today, but I'll be back tomorrow with another great guest, but it's class dismissed for now. School's out for summer, and I'll return again tomorrow with another great guest. So thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.